Right now, I am 37 weeks pregnant, almost. Tomorrow I will be. And I think that so often in our current world, we see the hard parts about each aspect of our life, and we try to avoid the hard. As a pregnant woman, I think that there's a lot of hard things that can come with pregnancy, just back pain and just constantly like not being able to walk the way that you normally walk. And maybe that's not painful for you, but for me it is. Literally throwing up for the first several weeks of pregnancy or feeling nauseous. And it's so easy to hyperfixate on things like that and then hyperfixate on the pain that we know that childbirth will bring, and to try to avoid hard things like that because we don't want to go through them. Our current culture, especially as a Gen Z individual, is very, very focused and fixated on almost this idolatry of childhood and this extension of trying to live just for yourself and for fun and never making the next step and taking the next step to do something extra hard or to accomplish a goal or to go further than what is comfortable or even than what is going to be painful for you. And so because of this, we see a lot of people, and perhaps as they grow older, their mindset about this will probably change. But initially, I think we see a lot of Gen Zers' mindset towards pregnancy and childbirth and having children and even getting married. We see this essence of prolonged childhood that they're trying to bring into it. So even for millennials, I think there's been this like idolization of prolonged childhood, like trying to still live in your parents' house when you're like in your 20s and into your 30s, or not trying to have a goal that you're reaching forward in a career or some sort of way to make yourself or your family money, to just kind of simply exist but not like move forward into more commitment and more responsibility, but to just continue living however one lived as a child and letting other people make their meals. And I mean, what's crazy is with this culture that we've raised these children into, there's actually, I know people personally who are Gen Z, and they have been so in this culture of like this extended childhood that somehow like teenagers shouldn't have responsibilities, that somehow even children shouldn't have responsibilities. And so because of that, they come to college, and I'm literally teaching people my age. I taught one of my friends how to wash dishes. That was it. She was like, I haven't done this before ever. How to make waffles. And these are things that I learned when I was probably like 5 or under. But because a lot of people in that Gen X generation and maybe what's above them, the boomers in that boomer generation have been just like deciding that, oh, I want my child to have this like ecstatic, like totally better childhood than what I had. And so that looks like not giving them responsibilities, and that looks like not teaching them valuable life skills. And so there's these many people out here who are full adults, 18 years old or older, who don't even know how to do basic things around their house, like how to make their own meals and how to meal prep, how to fold their laundry, let alone how to survive in a workforce or in an environment in which someone disagrees with them, or in an environment where they're pushed to work harder, or work at a job that they don't like something in the food industry or something in the retail space that you don't like it sucks, and you have to keep doing it because that's your responsibility right now. And so I think that because of that, like, training in them that just purports this extended childhood, they've taken that perspective into other aspects such as child growing, rearing, bearing, etc., and marriage, and they're just deciding like, I don't want to commit, so let me just live my life as if I'm not going to commit. Or, I don't want to go through the hard parts of pregnancy or of childbirth. And I think a lot of women and girls are like so terrified of this. And I thought about it the other day when my husband asked me if I was scared to go into childbirth. And I said, no, I wasn't until you like mentioned this. And then I was like thinking about it. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should be scared. But because it's been something that I've known that I'm going to do my whole life, and that has never deterred me from wanting to have children, is like, you do childbirth, everyone has done it, multiple people have done it before you. And I've had great mother figures in my life, like my own mother, but then also aunts and grandmas who have been like, absolutely, you can do this, and who've done it both natural and with an epidural. And, some of them have, done all sorts of different ways. But because that was such an open topic that was always talked about growing up, I never had this fear of the pain. Like, they were just like, this happened, and then like when they're telling their birth story, and you don't think of, I mean, you do think about it because if you see a movie or something, you think about the pain. But I think when you really are in this culture where the mindset is not about the focus on the pain, but the focus on you literally have your baby in your arms afterwards. It's like, I don't care if I'm throwing up for weeks. Like, I'm going to have a baby. Like, that's going to be worth it. Why do I care if I'm throwing up for weeks? I will throw up every week of my life for a baby. Like, are you kidding me? And so I think it's hard. I think in the moment, once you're there, it's a little bit more difficult. But because I just had such this expectation, like for instance, I despise throwing up. I despise nausea. Like, those are two of the worst things that I can think of when I would get sick that I would try to avoid. And yet I always knew that would probably be me when I was pregnant, and that never deterred me or made me feel like, oh, I can't do this, or oh, I'm not supposed to do this because that's going to be hard, or because I'm scared of doing that. And I think that so many people in our generation have turned to this viewpoint of, let's avoid something just because it's hard. And I think we need to start changing that narrative of saying, like, let's acknowledge the hard things. Yes, this is hard, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it. And I don't even have my baby in my arms. I still think that the throwing up was worth it. Like, even when I was throwing up, I'm like, I'm going to have a baby. Like, I just would remind myself, this is going to be my baby. They're going to be outside of my womb in several months, and you're going to forget. And honestly, it is. I mean, I don't quite, still have that same level of memory of all the throwing up already. I remember that I did it, but I don't remember what it feels like. It's so temporary, such a seasonal thing. And I think instead, if we started embracing the hard, or embracing things that are challenging and trying to use them as ways and opportunities that we can grow, and focus on the outcome and what is so worth the pain in the moment, I think that would really increase our character. I think that really increases our level of work and how we approach the world and our mindset towards that. And I think that it really ends up being a lot more fulfilling when you can accomplish something that is hard to you or that you don't necessarily in the moment want to do, and then you do it. And then you realize, I can absolutely do this. That, guess what? Pain is a part of life. We live in a world that is full of pain, that is full of not just physical pain, but emotional pain and heartache, and that there is an end of the tunnel to all pain. And I don't know. I am going to be, I'm 37 weeks tomorrow, so I could go into labor at any time after that. And honestly, like, I think I'm more worried for things after labor, like the 6 weeks of recovery, and, just hoping that my milk comes in and that it's enough supply, and that I'm more scared that that's going to hurt, because that's a much longer pain to go through than just of a labor that's, maybe a day or two, if it's really, really long, like 2 days. I am more scared of something that is much more lasting, because for me, like, even little things, people are like, this is uncomfortable. I'm like, that's painful. Pain, 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 pain. But it is so temporary and so fleeting, and I think that even then, learning to grow through it is the mindset that I want to take into my childbirth experience and beyond that, and my recovery postpartum. So if nothing else, I'll look at this later when I am in that period of time and being like, oh my word, I'm in so much pain. Maybe I'll watch this through and just remind myself that this mindset is eternal, that this mindset can produce something so much more valuable than just a momentary affliction or pain. And we see that biblically speaking as well. So those are just some thoughts that I have about pursuing hard things, even when they are hard and even when they are painful. And I hope that encouraged you today.